Welcome along to Obsession Engineering and the Rapid Honda Superbike team. We're at Donington Park for round 3 of BSB 2024 and it's very quiet in pit lane at the moment because the Superstock bikes have gone out and something has spilt something slippery on the track, so there's a bit of a clean-up effort going on down there because the bike was still leaking when it got into pit lane. In Superstock we have a little bit of a vested interest because we're doing some technical support with Sam Cox's Belcom team. Unfortunately Sam's actually injured at the moment, so Tom Ward's riding it. So you've been doing some World Endurance and you're back on a Superstock bike. Tell us the big difference between World Endurance and BSB.
First of all, obviously the tracks. I mean, here's not so bad, but gone from Le Mans to go-kart track at Donington Park. But then, yeah, the tyres are the main thing. Going from Pirellis to Dunlops to Pirellis type of thing. They're one of the biggest things to kind of get your head around. And then the front brake master cylinder has been one of my biggest, like my hardest things to kind of get my head around because we run a 19mm piston on the World Endurance bike, whereas we had to run a stock on this. So yeah, bits and bobs, but they're still quite similar. It's still a Honda.
And you're learning and helping sort of bring the team along for when Sam's back in duty.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, so while Sam's out, we can get obviously data and information for this, which is obviously new to us as well. So it's kind of good because then you're starting from scratch. But obviously we're getting help from you guys, so we've got a bit of intel already. So yeah, that's the plan. When Sam comes back, I expect no less than podium straight away. So
I hope you heard no pressure, Sam. Moving back into the Superbike garage, there isn't a massive amount we've changed from Donington Park because we were ready for race day at Alton. So we've done all the usual prep back at the workshop. That includes taking the clutch out and measuring it, bleeding all the brakes up, stripping all the front end out of it and servicing the bearings in there. We've had the linkage out and greased that as well, and basically give the bike a really, really good look over. Compared to Donington Park, we're on slightly different gearing, we're on a different fork height and a slightly different rear ride height, which is what we found worked at the Donington test when we were here a few weeks ago. And so yeah, it's just the usual geometry and chassis tweaks, but there's not massive changes, so the bike should be fairly consistent to how we rode it at Donington Park. So all we need to do now is go forwards and get ourselves towards the points, because that is definitely the target. He's on his 7th lap of the session, 18th place at the moment, 31.2, so not too bad. Decent start, relatively positive, been chipping away at the times around Danny Buchan and Andy Irwin and Dino and place people, so we're in the mix and a reasonable run for the first one. We know this will sort of be warming him up. And the fact we've stayed out and just chipped the times away is a good start, but we're a couple of seconds off in each sector, so I suspect this is probably an in-lap. Good start. Yeah, decent start. Big bit of a moment, last corner.
Woo! I thought, yeah, here we go again. Another one. Yeah, to be honest, the grip's really bad out there, I think. So much rain went down yesterday, the track's just green, so green. But I'm following other riders and everyone's doing it.
Right, we'll have a sit down, elbow off for a few minutes, we'll chat through, yeah. We've been in, we've made some adjustments, we've basically put preload in both ends because saying like there's not a lot of grip, but the idea is I basically want a little bit more anti-squat in it, so instead of it sitting down in the shock, it actually pushes the tyre into the tarmac a little bit more and grips and drives. That's the plan. And the easiest way to do it mid-session is with a bit of preload, so yeah, this is a mostly green lap, so this could be a little bit better. And we put a bit more preload in the front because it was diving a bit too much, he couldn't get it into the corner how he wanted. So we'll wait for him to come over the line, knocked 2 tenths off and jumped up 5 places in the last lap. But what you'll see here is the gaps are tiny between the riders, so a couple of tenths puts you right up in, like, not far off the top 10. So it now feels like we're actually beginning to get where we know he can be. So it's early days. definitely a more positive start to the weekend. Session's finished. We're under 2 seconds from the leaders, and he did his fastest lap on his last lap. But where did he find that extra time?
In the last sector.
Excellent. The one we've always struggled with.
Yes. So now he's got no excuse for FP2, basically.
17 laps on the tyre, and it's not brand new, but actually that's not bad at all, especially because Donington's quite abrasive. So, yeah, we could actually probably try and extract a bit more outright grip out of that, and if it does wear a bit quicker, we're going to be all right. Looks all right, Rob.
That's a good start, Dave. That's a good positive start.
Loads of laps.
We're excited again now.
Yes.
Pushed on for a bit of a lap time at the end. Like I say, the tyre where the first part of the track you don't really need a lot of tyre, you can just sort of flow, use your corner speed to make up the lap. So I'd be up like maybe three tenths coming into the last bit, and then you need the tyre for the last bit, and obviously that tyre's done quite a bit now, so I was losing it in the end. But I mean, what an improvement we've made from first time here. The team's confidence is back up, my confidence is good, so all round good session.
5 minutes or so until we're back out for FP2. We've made some changes. There's a bit of a weird front feel going into the corner, but the setting that we had from the test that we started on was quite low at the front, so it basically closed the trail figure up a little bit, so when he was trail braking it in, it didn't feel very good. So what we've done is raise the front of the bike up to get the trail figure a little bit longer, and that should help the bike turn a little bit as well, because it raises the centre of gravity. So that's the plan for that bit. Rear, I've come off the preload a little bit but put a stiffer spring on so that it's more supported when he's flicking it down craner. So an actual reasonable size of change considering we're not that far off, but you know, we're still 1.8 seconds off, so we've got a bit to go yet. So that is the plan. We're going to go out, start the session on the scrub tyre from the last session, do like a 6-lap run to get him going, and then do a 6-lap almost quali run, and then put some more fuel back in it for later in the session. Right, the most important thing on a track walk is obviously the competition of who can wheelie the furthest, but tonight Franco's the only one who's got a conventional push bike, so it's a little bit unfair. So I'm not saying he's cheating straight away, but he has no competition. Oh, not bad, mate, not bad.
Did you change your pressure, Tom?
Yeah, we went up. So we went.
What was you running?
We dropped it because I was like, oh, I want to get a bit more grip, and I wasn't sure if the crash I had it in the end of free practice, but it was just on the tarmac change.
Right.
So then we tried it a little bit lower, but that's when it was walking. Then in the session we went up, and
what was that to?
Yeah, I think. Do you remember what Tom said it to? Was it 36 front? Yeah,
that's what we were going to go to.
And it genuinely didn't have it at all.
Yeah, I think it's just like the sidewall of the tyre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like just walking.
Because we can't use that, can we? Oh, we were going to give it a go.
We were told we'd use the 2
tyre,
but then it loses one of our tyre allocation, which is a bit of a shame in case it doesn't work.
The 2 I didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like the 2 on the Superbike. We're doing a track walk because this way we'll actually see some of the stuff that we've been talking about during the sessions, so we can check if there's any sort of new bumps in the circuit, but we can also really talk about lines, and especially at Donington, how much curb to take in places, and basically just what line you can use and where you can put your throttle up and that sort of stuff. But it's better if you get more than one person doing it, because it had tended to be like Franco and Pete and then me a little bit. But this week we've got Franco, Tom Ward, who's on the stocker, and they've got some actually very, very similar comments on a couple of places on the circuit, so it's actually really useful to get them to talk round, because what works on the stocker or what works on the Superbike will work the other way around as well. So we've already found one little tip that Tom tried in practice on the stocker that we're going to try tomorrow morning. And so we've also got Finn is with us as well, so Finn's talking around his lap with Paul, and at some point obviously Finn will be talking to the big bike riders, and I think Arlie's meant to be catching us up as well when he's finished having his tea. Seems very civilised. But yeah, it is a group effort, because the more information you get from the riders, the more you learn. And so the big bike riders might learn something off Finn if he's trying a different line to what they're running, and he can learn something off them, and hopefully tomorrow everybody goes faster. Or at least that's the idea. How's today gone? You've only had one session today.
Yeah, fine, just steady away, just getting used to my bike. It was alright, I think I was 5th or something, so I'm not miles off.
And you're currently lap record holder around here, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I was a 2.5 seconds off my lap record, so I've still got pace. I didn't feel like I was trying, it felt nice and steady, just getting used to my bike, and I felt fine, so yeah.
Any big changes to the bike compared to what you had last year?
Yeah, everything's longer basically, it's just a bigger bike, that's about it, but other than that, no, it feels fine. My gearing needs changing now because I'm revving out well early, but other than that, I'm fine.
So that's it, dig in a bit more tomorrow and go faster?
That's it.
Right then, Finn, we're at Coppice, your favourite corner on the whole track. Go on, talk us through what you do from before you get to the first sort of turning point up the hill.
So I come up the hill, and because there's so much elevation, I basically just give it a little tiny comfort dab of brake, and then I just chuck it in, just give it a gear, just chuck it in into the corner, run so much speed out of Coppice, come right out to this exit curb, turn it, click another gear into 5th, and then just flat out all the way down that straight.
So, what are you into? 4th gear into Coppice?
4th gear into Coppice, 5th gear down to 4th, back up to 5th by about here.
Right, so yeah, 4th gear, almost no brakes, chuck it on the side, and then pin it wide open.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Sounds like fun. Paul has just pointed out this is the only corner so far where all of the riders have stopped to talk through it, because Coppice is kind of important. Like the entries, I mean, as much as Finn loves the entry to it, the entry's not that important, but the exit of here is very, very long, so there's a lot of wheel spin, and getting the line right so you can get the bike stood up and get the most grip available for the run down the back straight is pretty important. And so interestingly, Sam is 3rd fastest in Superstocks at the moment, but he's actually like 6 miles an hour down the back straight here. And so it's like, if he can find that on its own, and the run up to that speed, that's going to be worth quite a lot on his lap time. So it's like, that's the point where you go from, 3rd fastest to maybe 2nd, or maybe even hassling David Todd for 1st. And it's also, the end of the back straight is your most important braking area, because if somebody can get a run out of here better than you, that's a really good block pass point into the S's, because it's actually an easier pass than into the Melbourne Loop, because it's not quite as downhill, so you can get the bike stopped a bit more, and you can run through into the chicane faster, because the line is less critical because there's a switchback, whereas Melbourne Loop, if you get it wide, they're just going to cut back underneath you. So there's a reason everybody stood here. This bit's important. And that is track walk done. The sun is sort of beginning to set behind me, which is kind of nice. It's a pleasant evening. Claire has been a darling and got our dinner ready for us. Rob has been doing the spannering on the bike with Dan. So that's it. The team is working well. All the riders seem happy. That's it. A decent day for a change. Right, check this out. That's sunshine in England. Would you believe it? It's almost summery. Almost, being the optimum word there. Right, it is nearly 1:10 on Saturday afternoon. We have FP3 in a couple of minutes. And we've actually got rid of FP3 for this year, but because it's Superpole this weekend, it's basically a 10-minute warm-up before the lads go into qualifying. So if you're doing a normal quali session, you don't really need an FP3, because we haven't got any new tyres, but we have got some settings to change. But if you're going into Superpole, you won't have ridden yet today, and so that would be a bit harsh, sending people straight out the gate to do literally a warm-up lap and a quali lap. So we've got a 10-minute basically warm-up for qualifying. So yeah, we've got FP3, which is 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes to turn the bike around for Quali 1 for Q1, because we're not in the top 12. If we're in the top 3 from that, we're going to Superpole, and then at 4:15 this afternoon, we have a 20-lap race. So we've done, a steady morning, followed by a very busy afternoon. 10-minute session is go. For this one, the weird front feeling he was getting in turn 1, we've gone up on the tyre pressure a little bit, because it basically feels like it's collapsing the sidewall, and Tom Ward had tried that in his FP2 session yesterday, it seemed to help it. So we're trying a little bit higher tyre pressure and a tiny bit of like ride height in the rear and a little bit softer on the preload in the front, so it, when he rolls the throttle a bit down Craner, it will just pitch a little bit easier to help it turn through Craner, because it's hard work down there, and hopefully that will give him a bit easier time through the big fast flowing section. And we've got fork travel to spare, so it's not a problem on the brakes at the loop and stuff. So this is it. We're out there. It's more about if he feels confident. This is basically the warm up for qualifying. So we're on. We only did 4 laps in that, but he went straight out, and his second flying lap was the fastest lap of the weekend for him, 1:29.4 on scrub, so that was banging it in absolutely straight away. So that tells me he's up for it today. The bike's working, the little changes we've made he liked, so that's positive. So we'd already done a fuel calculation. We knew at 4 laps we need to put 3.4 kilos of fuel in it, so Rob's just put the fuel in it. In 10 minutes we're back out for qualifying. Right, here goes quali 1. Let's have a go.
Andrew on the back of that hill last year, and here comes the reigning defending champion, Franco. Very much surprised.
That is it, Q1 has started. We didn't go out at the front of the group that time because we know he can do the lap time on his own, and what we learned at Alton was the quick boys aren't at the gate when the gate opens. Right, we're in for this. Top 3 go to Superpole, and that's a whole new game. Right, that was getting pretty intense. That was getting pretty nervous. But the first sector in the last lap he's doing isn't quite good enough. But basically, we got up to 5th in that session, and he knocked half a second off his fastest lap of the weekend, which is pretty epic. But the thing is, he's done load of laps. He's done pretty much all his laps in the low 129s, and he dropped into a 128.7. So we're 5th in that session. Stormwood had a decent last lap, but a 29.7 is on it. We're only 0.13 off the fastest time in that session, and basically only like less than 0.1 off actually getting through to Superpole. So a little bit frustrating that we've not got through to Superpole, but that is absolutely banging, and his race pace is going to be rock solid. Right, we might not have made it quite into Superpole, but Billy next door has done, so we're going to join them boys for the excitement of Superpole. Andy, his crew chief, is I think he's pretty nervous in here. Into Coppice. He is the first man out, so he is laying down the marker that everybody else has to chase onto the back straight. Right, a good lap would be a 28.7 would be a really strong lap to start Superpole. Tiny little wheelie out of there towards Goddard. On both the brakes, it'll be front and back. You can see his foot moving a little bit. Through Goddard. Late apex, hook it back. Come on, Billy. Let's see what lap you can do. 28.9 in the 28s, that's all right. That's in the mix. I tell you what, going out and doing one lap on his own, it cannot be easy. Right, bit of an update after qualifying. So we were 5th in Q1, so that puts us 17th overall, which is all right. But our pace is bang on. We can go within a couple of tenths of our fastest lap, basically every lap. And he did 10 laps in that session, and he reckons he can do another 10 laps at that pace. So I'm confident in his race pace. If we get a decent start, we're definitely in the sniff for some points this time. Sportbike Cup have had their first race. Unfortunately, Finn's bike just stopped on the first lap. Turns out all this Mechatronic solo ECU stuff isn't exactly perfect. It's not infallible, so there are a few issues here and there. And weirdly, it's just started raining. It's just spitting with rain. Going back today, ain't it?
Yeah, we're going all right now.
It's just started spitting.
It would have gone like this the whole time. I'm not going to say why. You can say it if you want.
So we appear to have lost the rider there. So
to be fair, we've gone really well. We've stepped up this weekend. I think when you have such
challenging,
a humbling weekend like we did at Alton Park, you just say, I'm not letting that happen again.
Yeah.
And but
different
obviously
attitude this
I've
weekend,
brought it together. The team, you guys have brought it all together. So Yeah, and I mean, again, we're not where we want to be, but we know what we can do, and we know what we're going to do, and we're going to do it.
And it's raining.
If it's wet or dry, we're going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to go and actually make sure we've got wets and warmers going, because that wasn't in the forecast at all. So that throws a spanner into the works. What fun! Right, 5 minutes till pit lane opens. The Talent Cup race has just finished. Harley ended up 7th. He was in a scrap. He was actually basically at the back of the lead group and got bumped from 5th to 7th on the last lap, which was a bit of a shame. So, bike is ready. We have the tyre from Quali to roll to the grid on. We have plenty of fuel, so if we want to do a second outlap we can, but we don't need to do it for any reason. New front tyre in it. That is ready to go. We have the trolley as normal, so we've got general tools for emergencies, basically, wheel changing tools so we can slot the new back wheel in. That's the brake pad spreader for the rear caliper, tour wrench and everything, stuff for doing suspension adjustments if we need it, and that, which is new, and Milwaukee have actually given these to a load of the Superbike teams. So instead of running your generator on the grid, you can run the Milwaukee MX fuel thingy. And basically that's a big battery pack. That's all inverters and stuff. And so you can run 240 volt electric off that instead of having your generator on the grid. So it's actually quiet and it actually weighs less than the generator as well, which is kind of handy. So big thumbs up to Milwaukee for supplying a load of the Superbike teams with that. Bike is on the grid, wheels changed, check the date from that lap, everything is working, everything's happy. Rapid rider coach Liam Delves is on the grid. Hello Liam. Bit of a shame he's not in his leathers, but next time. Right, we're in decent company, 17th. We've got factory Hondas around us, Danny Buchan's with us as well. And we've got Charlie Nesbitt, Alex Olsen, O'Halloran's just there. We're in the mix now. This is a bit more like it, isn't it, Pete?
Certainly is. Mega. What company we're in. But we can be a bit further up still. So
we can run with these boys, can't we?
We can run with these boys. Yeah. 100%. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're ready.
Right then, Matt. The music's playing. Yes. The outlap's on the go, the warm-up lap. Chilled?
I am actually. I'm looking forward to this. Nervous. I was having a conversation with Dan on the grid. It's like, I hate this bit, but you love it. Absolutely love it. And you can tell the difference a good weekend makes. We're having a good one so far. Let's keep it up. Good start. He knows he's capable of top 10s, to be honest. Let's just put it out there. He's capable of that. The bike's capable of it. Let's have it. Let's have it.
I kept wishing that we'd get some Pirelli girls, but we got the bargain budget option instead. The race that's going on over there, average launch, it sort of dropped a couple of metres on the launch, but his first corner was really good. So, where are we? We're 17th, so pole position, which is okay, and his pace will be good from now. So, right, we're nervous. I'll see you lot in a few. Right, little jog down pit lane. I'm going to put it out there. The further up you get, the more nervous you get during the race. That was tense, to say the least. But 6 laps to go. Hello, Fu, one of my favourite schooners. Right, 6 laps to go. There's a red flag. Eden had a proper eyesight out the old hall. And we were up to 13th at the time, so because they'll take Eden out, that should put us 12th. I'm relieved to get some points on the board. That is, that is a massive step forward. Yeah, that was a race, that was. I'll fill you on some more details in a bit. Podium, but we're not on it yet. One day we will be. Bike's in Parc Fermé for a bit. We've had to do a fuel sample. The Motec guys come around and plug in and make sure you're like legal rev limits and all that sort of stuff. And then you leave them there for a while, and then if anybody wants to protest anything, they've got half an hour basically to put their money on the table. And you do have to put money down if you want something checking or measuring or whatever. So that's it. Chill out for a few minutes and actually sit down. Well, up our lady subscriber level there, Franco, were you taking your top off? But decent race that.
Spot on, wasn't it? Yeah, it's got a good start. Well, it wasn't a good start. I just stayed calm. I knew my race pace was going to be good. Chipped away. the tyre actually dropped off a lot worse than it has all weekend, to be fair. So I was worrying a bit. With 7 laps to go, I thought I might struggle here. So I sort of settled for my position a bit, and then was yo-yoing Billy in and out. So I thought we might be able to get him. But yeah, to be in the points, I'm sort of happy. But I know we should have been here all along, really. So as I said to Pete there, if we can get a good start, I know we're more than capable of a top 10.
Alright, bit of a pushback from Parc Fermé, but we've got the bike back. There are flies on it, but they are points flies, so it's fine. So now we're into the usual prep, so it's clean and breathe the brakes. We'll have the clutch out, measure that, check it, re-oil it. Wheels out, chain cleaned and lubed. We'll have the shock out and check that. Check the linkages and everything, re-measure everything. Obviously weigh the fuel, see how much we actually use in the race, and basically give the bike a really good check through before tomorrow. So that's it. Camera down, let's get some work going. Right, and while Rob's busying himself just finishing off the clutch for tomorrow, that is job done for today. We have had an extensive debrief, so we've obviously gone through all the sector times and splits and stuff, so we know what we're doing compared to everybody else. We've worked out our drop off compared to everybody else's as well. We like to work out now the our consistency and see if we can do anything with the consistency. We've obviously talked through with Franco areas where we might be able to gain a little bit or lose a little bit, and obviously a little bit of what Mike's doing as well. So it's quite extensive, there's a lot of detail. We have Science Rob to thank for that, because he's instigating we get more information and it is improving the product. And so yes, there's a couple of tiny little details we're going to look at for morning warm-up, but basically it's a happy team because we've got points on the board. Right then, Charlie, you're our biggest fan, aren't you? Are you a Franco fan?
Yeah.
Excellent. Who else do you like?
Coops.
Cooper? He's quick, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to have one talented rider to follow, isn't it?
Mhm.
Are you going to be a motorbike racer one day?
Yeah.
Good lad. It's going to cost your dad a fortune. Right, Saturday evening, and yesterday, Josh, you had a little bit of a drama in FP, but you're mostly in one piece.
Yeah, pretty much. If we keep on meeting up like this, there's going to be team rumours.
There is.
No, yeah, we had a bit of a spill. It's a strange one, really. It was like a high side, but we're in a high side, if that makes sense. So I've come through Old Hall. It is Old Hall. The old hairpin, sorry. Yeah. And it's stepped out and come back, and I was like, oh, I've got this. Carry on with my lap. Pointing my head that way, and before I knew it, it done this and then just slammed me down.
Tries to high side you, but ends up low side you.
Yeah, that's exactly similar. Yeah. But I think it's sort of low sided me, and I've gone that way, and I think that's what's because all rubber on my helmet. So I think a bit of a tyre.
Just the back tyre.
I think it was the front.
Oh, nice.
I think I always seem to go over the front. I think because I'm small.
Yeah.
It just seems to send me that way. It has a massive effect on me.
But you've been out and qualified since then?
We've had qualifying today. Obviously, my busy schedule of one session on a Saturday and one race on a Sunday. So yeah, qualifying. I struggled a bit, to be honest. We were struggling this weekend with rear grip. I've heard a few people saying that as well. I think Glenn's struggling for grip from the rear and also making it stop from the rear. So here was somewhere I've always struggled. I'm liking the fact that I'm being smooth and the lat time's not too far away, but there's definitely more to come, you know what I mean? So hopefully they've gone through it all, and I think we're basically back to somewhere where we were at the test. Yeah. You know how it goes.
I think that's about it for the day,
I think so, yeah. That's us rounded up.
Right, we'll make sure you've not nicked anything and have a job sorted.
Yeah, everything seems to... There's no wheels on the bike, so I can't take that. Someone is waiting around the corner, though, so I reckon we can manhandle this out.
Oh, 100%. Cheers, Josh.
Thank you very much.
Morning warm-up. Bike was ready last night, so we've had a nice relaxing morning. We've had a really good weekend so far, so hopefully that continues today and the boy can do well and we'll end on a high.
Alright, so decent morning warm-up, 12th fastest. The little tweaks we tried for the rear chatter didn't really help, but then the tyre had a heat cycle as well, so it was way past its best. So we've gone back to the setting we know works, and I've made a tiny tweak like the opposite direction in the shock. But we are ready for race, and he's happy with the setup we had yesterday. So currently grid walk, so autographs off the Superbike riders and stuff, and it's pretty busy, it's pretty cool. We have got Harley with us as well. In fact, we'll have 2 minutes with him. Right, you've had 2 races this weekend. Tell us all about it.
Awful, to
to be honest. No, it weren't that bad. It was all right. Just my bike's a bit slow, but other than that, it's all right. 2/7, just points. I couldn't really do anything.
You know, it's not terrible, but
no, it's not.
You can go better.
That's it. It's not bad, but I'd have been happy with that in my first year, never mind my second.
Tell you what, Pete, they've set off on the warm-up lap. He's up for this, isn't he?
Yeah, he sounds pumped, as the word is. Yeah, he sounds pumped. So first lap is a big issue. But if we get through the first lap nice, we'll be somewhere near. So let's see what happens.
Right. The actual start wasn't particularly good. He got boxed a bit off the line, and first corner was average, but he fought back. He had a really strong first lap once he got going, and then Fraser Rogers was deep at Melbourne and ran a couple of people wide, and finished the first lap in 13th, right behind Nesbitt. So we are in the race again now. I tell you what, this is exciting stuff. Whew. Right, well that went wrong. There was a bit of a melee into the loop on end of lap 2, and Franco dropped to 20th, and then he came in the lap later and he couldn't get in gear changes. And we had a quick light, we plugged in, and if we go in the garage we can't come back out, so we stopped him on the pit apron, put the warmers on it, we plugged in, and the gear lever wasn't reading correctly. The gear shift sensor the quick shifter sensor wasn't reading correctly. So we changed it for the spare we've got, but we need to go back out and get a lap time, because otherwise we're dead last on the grid. So he is currently going as fast as he can, I suspect with the angry head on, and hopefully we can get a lap time in this now, which puts us somewhere on the grid for race 3. So really good yesterday, really crap today. Love racing. The trolley's out, so it must be time for race 3 near enough. We've got a few minutes delay because there was a red flag in Supersport, so hopefully everybody's all right from there. So we have the gear shifter on that we used in the last session, and we've tweaked some settings as well for the shifter. Basically, the change I made at Alton Park to make the delay time a little bit longer. I've gone another 5 milliseconds, and we've gone a little bit stiffer in the forks. Just to support him a little bit, so if he needs to be a bit more aggressive to pass in the first couple of laps, he's got a bit more support. And we've tweaked the tyre pressure a little. We've gone a tiny bit lower in the rear because the track temperature is the highest it's been all weekend, and so that should give us a more consistent grip. So that's it. We are ready. Franco is ready. He's getting in the zone. Time to go. Right, exciting end to the Superstock 1000 race. National Superstock Championship race. Tom crossed the line in 3rd because the lap before, one of the checkered flags was put out by accident, and Scott's one, who was in 3rd, saw it, rolled off the throttle, started waving to the crowd, very happy that he'd got 3rd. So Tom overtook him, then finished the actual race distance in 3rd, but because they put the flag out early and they realised it was their mistake, they've cut it down a lap in the results, because it's not really fair on Scott. But then actually Tom was catching him up, so he might have beaten him anyway. So either way you look at it, it's a bit unfair to somebody. But mistakes happen every now and again because people are human. So Tom was 4th, good result from him. Declan was 13th, so strong result from him as well. And it was exciting. Right, there is calm on the grid. We've got 6 minutes to go before race start. Franco's gone to visit the boarding over on the far side. Usual, pre-race nerves. Having the electric generator thing is quite good because we don't have to shout. We've reduced all the generator noise. It seems calmer on the grid, and for this race, calm is exactly what we're looking for. And so he's focused, he's calm, he's not probably quite as built up as he was for the last one, so we're not going to build him up as much, shouting about top 10s and stuff. We know he can do the job. Nice and calm, 20 laps. We just want to get into this one and get going. Right, here we go. TV's a few seconds behind the noise out there. Right, come on Franco. Good start. That is actually probably his best launch of the weekend so far, so come on Franco. Let's have a go into turn 1. Right, the last of the bikes are rolling into pit lane at the end of the race, but we don't have to go to Parc Fermé because ours broke, and it's really annoying. He got into the points positions, he was into the top 15, his pace was really strong again like it was yesterday. We were definitely going forward. He'd got on the back of Storm and he basically got on the back straight, clicked an extra gear and it just died, it's gone off a cylinder. And on the TV we could actually see it smoking out the exhaust pipe. Until we actually get it back to the workshop and strip the motor down, we won't know exactly what's gone on. So another disappointing end to a race meeting. Just don't feel like we're winning much at the moment.
Disappointing one. Well, it's happened now. Like I say, yesterday we had the pace to go well.
And today we had the pace, to be fair.
Yes, today we had the pace, but we showed it, but none of it matters unless you finish, does it? So the only positives that we can take is we didn't generally do anything wrong. It is just these just things that happen in racing. So yeah, we just need to get over it and look forward to Donington, Knockhill.
Can we have pudding now?
Do you know what? I feel sick. Sick from the day.
I'll have your pudding now. Right, we've had a bad day, but we've been cheered up by Josh coming in and eating cheesecake straight out of his hand.
I like cheesecake.
Best part of your day.
100%.
So that is the end of another very frustrating day at British Superbikes. Yesterday we finally started showing the potential that we know Franco has got, and frankly that we've got. And today we've had a gear sensor playing up and then an engine failure, both of which were completely beyond our control. So it's been frustrating, but we now know definitely that we are good enough to be in the points. We should have been in the top 10 today. We're a little bit down. And so we're doing the impression of the 7 wise men, or is it wise monkeys? Who knows nowadays. Anyway, that's enough of that. We'll see you at the next one, which will actually be on the Isle of Man. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time for some more Superbike frustration.